iilluminaughtii might be one of the most infamous creators on YouTube at this point. A once very popular creator who had an audience who very much respected her has been receiving a lot of backlash since April of 2023. Now, this is for many reasons, which we will get into in this video, but it all seems to boil down to her alleged vindictive and manipulative behavior. Today, we are going to revisit a lot of controversies she has gotten into since April, as well as several updates to a lot of these controversies that are going up to the current day. Spoiler alert, it seems like every other week, she continuously makes herself look worse. It is once again time for the holidays, which means that we are missing somebody. Stu is back! It has been a moment since we've talked about iilluminaughtii on this channel. iilluminaughtii is a YouTuber where every other week it seems like something else is coming out about her, and if it goes quiet for a little while, then that means a big bombshell drops shortly after, and this has been going on for the past like 6 months. Actually, no, longer. Anyway, with every new development and information about iilluminaughtii, we just find out how much more unhinged she is than we originally thought. So while a lot has been going on regarding her, I have taken a break from talking about iilluminaughtii for a little while, so that way I can make one big video update on the situation, and also because I really am trying not to have my channel covered in triangles. I guess it's a little late for that. And listen, I know pretty much every commentary channel has talked about her at one point or another here on YouTube, so you probably already have an idea of what's been going on, but for the very few who don't, or for those of you who haven't seen my previous videos discussing the situation, let me do a brief recap to catch you up to speed so that way we could talk about all of the new things that have happened over the past 2 months or so, with a lot of more recent information being extraordinarily important to this entire discussion. So let's take it back to before everything happened in April. iilluminaughtii has been a very popular anti-MLM YouTuber. Anti-MLMs are anti-multi-level marketing. She was very well known for a series called Corporate Casket, where she would talk about a lot of really shady businesses doing really shady things and exposing them, which is really ironic considering how shady she turned out to be, which we will get into in a moment. At the height of her career, Blair, aka iilluminaughtii, was posting several times a week, gaining millions of views on YouTube, peaking her subscriber count to over 1,500,000 subscribers, at least from what I remember. It could have been even more. And to the average viewer, she had a fairly decent reputation with followers who trusted her and respected her for the content she created and for the integrity she appeared to have at the time of her peak. However, this all came crashing down in April of 2023. A single tweet had led this domino effect of controversies that exposed her vindictive behavior. This tweet she made was a call-out post to another YouTuber known as Legal Eagle. Not Legal Eagle's editors broaching my editors to take my video's style, and when they didn't give up the info, they literally copied it. And by the way, I have messages from my editors and found an email from them too. Just change the color from purple to blue, huh? Interesting. So iilluminaughtii accused Legal Eagle's editing team of stealing her editing team's video editing style, which is hilarious because the two examples that she gives are so generic. I have seen so many other YouTube videos with very similar edits to this page rip. And when it comes to the highlighting effect, that is one of the most common edits I've seen when it comes to slightly more upscale edits other than like transitions or color effects. I have seen so many YouTube videos with this highlighting effect. It is so common that if you go on websites like Motion Array, this is gonna sound like it's sponsored, but it's not. This is just what I use. I edit my own videos, and this is a tool I use that really helps, especially with time. Motion Array is a website where you can get a bunch of stock footage for your YouTube videos, and it also provides things like editing presets and templates and things that you can use that really help amplify the look of your videos. Sometimes people will upload effect presets, and it's so common that you can even download a highlighting editing effect as a preset to put into your videos. And I'm sure there's plenty other editing websites out there that have similar things as well. The reason I'm saying that is because if it is so common that you can get it from a website and install it as a preset for your video editing program, how the hell are you going to try and claim that this effect is exclusive to you, especially when Legal Eagle pointed out they have been doing this edit for longer than she has. And I've already talked about all of this in a previous video. Again, we're kind of just recapping here, but I wanted to just also say it really irritates me the way she tries to paint Legal Eagle's editor trying to steal her style when all he was doing was asking for advice on how to make a similar edit to something. There's nothing wrong with asking another editor advice on how to do something, especially when you're just asking how to do something faster. But she twisted that into saying, oh, well, if you don't tell me how to do it, I'm going to do it anyway. Anyway, rightfully so, Blair received a lot of backlash for this. Not just from Legal Eagle's following either, but from her own as well. But at this current point in time, I don't think anybody was expecting how much farther this was going to go over the coming weeks to months. The severity of the iiluminaughtii scandal expanded rapidly as this went from just her calling out somebody over, in my opinion, non-issue to her looking like a hypocrite and also showing how extremely vindictive she could actually be to people. In fact, vindictive seems like an understatement. For somebody who was really angry at the possibility of another creator copying her, it's really interesting how she has a reputation of not being the greatest creator, at least to a Facebook group who had moderators banning her own research team from trying to gain access to information they were putting out about a topic that they were researching very heavily. However, there was one moderator that was unaware, and I believe they had accepted one of Blair's researchers into the group, and that researcher had access to information for a short period of time before they were removed. If I also remember correctly, with the information they were able to gather from that group, Blair still made her video, and she didn't give the proper credit to the people in that Facebook group. She just credited the Facebook group as a whole. So you have somebody who is hypersensitive to potentially having their editing style stolen, but they have no problem sending their researchers into a closed Facebook group to obtain information and use that information for a video. Nevertheless, it just shows the blatant hypocrisy that she had in this situation, because while she was actively trying to discredit somebody for something they weren't actually doing, she was kind of doing the same thing herself. Aside from all of this, however, more information was dropping about iilluminaughtii from people that she had closely worked with in the past, and this involves a group called Sad Milk. One thing I've noticed for a while, being a creator myself and seeing this happen to other creators as well, is that when one really big influencer, YouTuber, TikToker, whatever, has something huge come out about them and they are under a lot of fire, people expect anybody who is ever associated with them to come out and denounce them. And in this situation, it seems like that's exactly what happened with other people who were involved with the Sad Milk channel. Anyway, this is where things start to get really unhinged. Creators like the Click have come out with their own experience with a long Twitter thread and a video on YouTube mentioning that he no longer associated with Blair even prior to any of this going on. To just go over things really briefly and give you the biggest key points, the Click was first of many testimonies against Blair, with claims that she tried to ruin the reputations and careers of those who stood in her way or who she felt threatened by, including the Click himself. The Click also came out with a video going into even more details about his experience with iilluminaughtii and Sad Milk. He had made claims that she attempted to smear his reputation with lies. She had allegedly offered $200 to somebody to try and dig up old video clips of the Click saying offensive words when he was a teenager and when English wasn't even his first language.
Here's a former staff member of hers getting paid to sift through raw audio recordings of me looking for dirt, more specifically the R word. I needed to work with this person to help me me find Click saying the R-slur in Sadmilk's raw audio. I can do that, just let me grab a shower and I'll be down. She claims he said it in a Sadmilk video but can't remember which one, and she's over her head. I'll pay you $200 to find it, and here's the payment.
You argue how good your research is compared to other YouTubers. Why couldn't you be the one to do this? If you wanted it so badly, why'd you have to pay somebody $200? By the way, we're going to revisit this later with more updates because there are more updates on this that have been fairly recent, actually. I would argue that even if English was a Click's first language, it would be one thing if she was trying to get information that showed a pattern of behavior from years ago to the present day, or showed some kind of thing that was criminal or reprehensible that could be used in like court or something like that. When it comes to somebody saying something offensive years ago and they have shown many efforts of growth and change and just developing as a human being, and they haven't made videos like that since, what it shows to me is that she is just blatantly retaliating. And another reason why I believe that she didn't do this in good faith or didn't do this with the proper motivation and intentions behind it is because there was this fake account called Doobie Schmarts, which many creators within the Sadmilk channel have claimed was Blair iilluminaughtii, allegedly. This account was the one that was spreading this video clip of the Click saying the R word. And if I remember correctly, I believe Blair had also said the same words that she tried to get the Click exposed for saying. And on top of that, in one of these sock accounts allegedly run by Blair, it stated that they were autistic. There is now questions of whether or not she was trying to spark even more outrage over this. It's completely and totally deranged in my opinion, and this had no good intention behind it. It was purely out of a vindictive motivation, in my opinion. Now, the last really big issue that iilluminaughtii tried to smear the Click over was a situation involving his Discord server where there was an alleged predatory person, and Blair iilluminaughtii implied that the Click was being complicit in this and not doing anything about it, and that she and somebody else were the ones that really got this person out of there. When in reality, what had happened was, when this was brought to her attention, the Click was asleep. They lived in different time zones. He wasn't awake when all of this was going down. Therefore, he did not know about it. So he obviously did not act immediately when Blair saw it because he was sleeping, allegedly, according to the Click. This is still a recap though. So let's go on to the next person who spoke out about iilluminaughtii, who was Wonderstruck, another creator who was part of Sadmilk and somebody who edited for Blair at one point. Wonderstruck was somebody who had also seen and experienced a lot of the toxic behaviors that Blair had put on. Wonderstruck went over the living conditions that went on within iilluminaughtii's home, the way that she treated others, the way that she could be manipulative towards people and go after people she felt threatened by, which is a common theme with many of the testimonies against her. But what's really interesting is the video that iilluminaughtii made in response to everything and his portion of that video. She tried to paint him as somebody who was lazy and didn't do the work that she had given him to do as her employee, and in reality, those things were really twisted. But without a doubt, the most reprehensible thing she had done within Wonderstruck's portion of this video, in fact, this might be the worst thing she had done in that entire video response. She put his side note on blast to try and discredit him. She weaponized that against him, something so vulnerable and personal that did not need to be aired out publicly at all. She used that to try and paint him as somebody who was not stable enough to be taken seriously. There is no other word for that than evil. And I really have no idea why she thought that this was going to end up making her look like the good guy in the situation, because it absolutely did not. This made her look 10 times worse than she already did. The majority of her followers mutually agreed that this was very fucked up and completely unnecessary. And after all of this, she had threatened Wonderstruck with legal action. He responded by making a GoFundMe to help with costs to fight this, because she knows that she is taking advantage of people who do not have the power that she does when it comes to stuff like this. Speaking of being powerful over other people, let's talk about OzMedia. OzMedia was another creator from SadMilk. He lived with iilluminaughtii, and as we find out in the more recent updates given, he was in a relationship with her. I'm gonna save that for the update part of this video because it is a lot that we haven't talked about yet on this channel. I know, I'm behind. I haven't talked about her in a minute. At the time that all of this was really coming out all at once, Oz had also made a thread on Twitter sharing his experiences with Blair and amplifying the experiences of others, and iilluminaughtii threatened legal action against OzMedia as well. And before we end this recap and get on to all of the updates in this situation, the other two things I want to mention are experiences that other people outside of the SadMilk channel have had with iilluminaughtii. The first being a creator known as TommyC, and another experience being with a creator known as Cruel World Happy Mind. I've gone over information regarding both TommyC and Cruel World Happy Mind in my previous videos as well. iilluminaughtii had cut ties with a creator known as TommyC due to somebody else he associated with making a fat joke. Just so you understand, he wasn't even the one who made the fat joke, somebody else that he associated with did, and that was her reasoning for cutting ties with him. After ending her friendship with Tommy, she still had some level of control with the content on his channel. She didn't have as much control as Tommy did on the channel, but she was able to remove videos on the back end, and that's exactly what she did. She removed any video that she appeared in on TommyC's channel without asking him or saying anything about it to him prior. She just up and deleted them, and he didn't even have a chance to be informed about this prior. This was really shitty because he worked really hard on those videos, had put money and effort into creating that content, and it was just gone. She had also gone after another creator known as Cruel World Happy Mind after Cruel World Happy Mind had told iilluminaughtii that her followers were claiming Blair was copying her research. So Madison wasn't even the one accusing Blair of doing this. She was just trying to bring it to Blair's attention, which Blair did not respond to or acknowledge in any way other than talking badly about her on a podcast indirectly, which led to a whole snowball effect of other situations that caused a lot of stress for Madison. It escalated to a point where it seemed like iilluminaughtii was going to do a video talking about her. So eventually they had gotten on a call with each other and talked things out. But Madison also claimed in her video about iilluminaughtii that she was pregnant at the time with a really difficult pregnancy, and iilluminaughtii was aware of this because she told her she was pregnant. Her doctors had told her that she needs to avoid stress during this time of her pregnancy. So with all of this information, which one last time I will say I've gone into greater detail in previous videos, that covers pretty much everything in a recap up to this point that we have talked about on this channel. There is definitely more information that has happened over the past few weeks to months that I just haven't talked about yet, and that's what we're getting into in this video. So let's go back to the situation regarding OzMedia. In June, Oz posted, "So iilluminaughtii has officially sent me a cease and desist. Best part is she cites parts of videos which I had no part in and demands I make a public apology. I haven't even made a video yet." On the 13th, he wrote, "The iilluminaughtii sent a physical cease and desist to my dad's address as well. One I haven't lived at in 3 years, which she would know because I still live in the house we shared. Trying to scare my dad? You're forcing my hand here, something I initially didn't want to do." In September, Oz wrote, "Quick update for transparency. I've seen a lot of people referencing my current legal predicament as Blair iilluminaughtii following through with her claimed $1 million defamation case. This is an entirely different matter that I will explain within my video." He also wrote, "I apologize if my initial tweet was misleading, leading people to the conclusion that Blair was following through with her defamation case. That wasn't my intention. I needed to be vague to protect myself while my video is being produced." OzMedia published a video on September 16th, 2023, and by now I'm sure this is a video you have seen, if not bits and pieces of by this point, but we haven't covered it yet on this channel, so I'm going to go over some of that. I will be linking Oz's video in the description below, as well as many other videos involved in this situation, so you can get the full scope of what happened, because I'm just going to go over some key points here that I find extremely concerning, to say the least. So OzMedia made a video after sharing information about his legal battle with Illuminaughtii. Oz shared that the purpose for this video was to essentially be a placeholder for a larger, more detailed video about Blair that has yet to come out at the time of recording this video, and also that for a short time, that video's production would be put on pause. Oz claimed that this video has been taking so long due to how much information is in it, which he claimed at the time of making that video was over 110 pages long. He also stated that he needed to continue posting regular content to keep himself afloat financially, which is understandable. When you're taking a break from posting onto YouTube, that is something that can cause your channel to really suffer a lot of consequence, even if what you're doing is taking a break to make a longer video. So if that's his main source of income, it seems pretty reasonable that he would still need to create content to keep things going. The biggest bombshell that dropped, however, was that Oz and Illuminaughtii were once in a romantic relationship. They began dating while she was 28 and he was 20. While this might not have been an age gap that was illegal by any means or inappropriate in the way that other creators have been exposed for here online, there is this gap of life experience that Illuminaughtii would have over OzMedia. It's really odd, in my opinion, that she seems to take advantage of people who are much younger than she is with less life experience in a way that will benefit her and ultimately their lives up.
In the beginning, Blair walked me into several poor financial decisions. My naivety caused me to believe her reassurances that I could handle all of the financial obligations being dropped onto my shoulders by someone more experienced in life than I was. If you're looking for an easy point of evidence, as you can see with Wonder, Blair has a habit of taking advantage of younger men, 8 years younger than her, and their financial illiteracy for her own personal gain.
On top of that, Oz claimed that Illuminaughtii used deceitful tactics to get him roped into a lot of financial decisions. And after all of the drama that has happened since April, he was put under the threat of having his home foreclosed, and she had allegedly set the foreclosure date to be right before Christmas. From the way that OzMedia described this situation, it seems like this was done by Blair entirely out of spitefulness and retaliation.
This situation was a fear and hesitation that I had from the beginning, even telling Wonder as far back as April, a day before my thread went up, that I was mortified that if I spoke out against Blair or even dared to cross her, that she would retaliate with taking my home from me.
In Oz's video, he shares a screenshot conversation between himself and Wonder, explaining how he was afraid of this outcome before even speaking out about her in April. The screenshot provided in his video reads, "I'd say that if you want to go public, you'd have pretty much a large portion of Sad Milk backing you. Speaking today has lifted a weight off my chest. I don't have to hide or watch my words." Oz replied, "I'm scared, man. She has the power to evict me from my house. And if she were to do that, you go public with that too. She gets scared, doubles down, and then evicts you, she'd permanently lose her platform. She wouldn't dare. She can barely reply to Legal Eagle. She wouldn't do such a thing." Oz stated, "I'm going to be sick. Are you home right now and able to talk?" Oz then speculates that the reason why Blair is doing this is to attempt to silence his criticism and sharing his experiences. 2 times, Oz mentions the possibility of this exact video ending up on the floor in a courtroom, which has led his audience to trust him with the statements he's made in this video. Oz also claimed that Blair holds more power than a landlord, and the power that she has to foreclose the home on him is due to her being a mortgagee, which, according to Google, is a lender, specifically an entity that lends money to a borrower for the purpose of purchasing real estate. Oz also goes into details about the guilt he felt with him needing her to help him financially, despite the fact that his need for assistance seemed to stem from the financial decisions Blair allegedly pressured him into in the first place. He then goes on to state how he felt like it was being held over his head, how she allegedly made him feel isolated from his own friends, and how she allegedly would not even allow him to be friends with people she did not like, such as the Click and Wonder, once their bridges with her were burned. Worst of all, it seems like Blair and her lawyer allegedly pressured Oz into a situation he was unsure of and took advantage of him in a really shady way. I think it's best described from Oz himself, so I will be providing the clip here of him explaining it, but I do recommend you watching his full video if you haven't already, because it goes into so much more detail than I can provide you here.
When I was 23 and Blair was nearly 31, Blair, with her lawyer, would create an honestly quite confusing legal document for me to sign where I would agree to pay back her debt. Blair, being the person who signed my checks, knew that I couldn't afford legal representation. Blair also knew that the $2,500 that she was having me pay monthly towards that debt was almost as much as I was making monthly working for her. This would mean that I could barely pay for anything else in my life other than the debt that I owed her. Everything I made working for her was going right back into her pocket. Blair would bring me to her lawyer's office, put me in a room alone with the two of them, with papers in front of me. Papers which I foolishly signed for a myriad of reasons, ranging from Blair expressing that this would mend our relationship, that it was the right thing for me to do, that this would also protect her legally and prevent her from getting into trouble with the IRS. She also would describe to me, and while I can't remember if this exact word was ever used, she essentially explained to me that because she used company funds to assist me, that she had committed embezzlement. And by converting the amount that I owed her into a loan with her company, this would save her skin legally. Now, to most people, that word may not have a lot of meaning. But to me, when I was 11, my mother was incarcerated for this exact crime, a remnant of the 2008 financial crisis. This taught me a very harsh lesson from an early age. But more importantly, Blair was aware of this past of mine. Whether this was used against me, I can't say for certain, but the idea of another person I loved being locked away, but this time for my actions, words cannot describe the guilt that I had.
I really hope that if this is settled in court, that she and the lawyer involved in this are questioned on this and receive some sort of consequence if what Oz said was true, because there is no way that she should be able to do all of this without any consequences, both legally and morally. Lastly, Oz goes into how iilluminaughtii got him to sign a deed of trust, which is the document that ultimately gave Blair the power to foreclose on his home if he was unable to make the payments, allegedly. Like I mentioned, I do highly recommend going over and watching OzMedia's full video discussing this situation on his channel. I will link his video in the description below for you to watch if you haven't seen it already. I'm unsure of what the status is on the video that he claimed that he has been working on. He has mentioned other legal matters since this, but there are some more updates regarding OzMedia that we will get into in a second. But before we continue with this, I would like to take a moment and go into some other updates regarding the iilluminaughtii situation, because yes, even more has come out. After things had gotten quiet for a little while, in October of 2023, a creator known as FPS Diesel made a video titled "Leaking iilluminauttii's Discord Server." I'll leave his video linked in the description below so you can watch it in its entirety, but there are some points in this as well that I find extremely interesting, especially seeing that Blair is more currently than we expected discussing situations as if she is still in the right and still trying to smear the people that have been affected by her the most in this situation. So FPS Diesel made a video discussing how he paid for a $30 monthly subscription to Blair's Patreon to gain access to things such as her Discord page.
One thing that was always speculated was Blair having a Google Drive with what, in my opinion, is blackmail. Well, Blair had bragged about it in her server, so there's the evidence of that.
He revealed that on this Discord page, she has been actually quite vocal about everything that's been going on over the past few months. Here's the thing. When it comes to Discords that are meant for patrons, I understand that it's not public, but it's also not private either. Anybody from the public can gain access to this server, they just have to pay for it. And even if it was more exclusive than just accessible to anybody who had $30 to pay for it, I would never consider something like a Discord page, which probably has dozens of people in it, the most private or secure type of place to have private conversations, which is what she apparently had in this Discord server. As FPS Diesel mentioned in his video that she would share pretty personal information, for example, allegedly gossiping about her sister to a bunch of strangers in this Discord server, and allegedly speaking very poorly of her, but even worse, talking shit, for a lack of better term, on a lot of the people she is currently in the middle of legal battles with. Airing out all of your opinions on the people you're in a legal dispute with, in my opinion, sounds like an unfathomably stupid idea. Yet FPS Diesel claims that that's exactly what she was doing. Throughout FPS Diesel's video, he shares that iilluminaughtii had allegedly made several posts posts about people like OzMedia and Wonderstruck, although OzMedia seems to be the one who was hit the hardest, as she went into detail about a lot of accusations that, one, I don't know if they are true, purely based off of her history of twisting and contorting things to make anybody she feels threatened by look bad, and two, as we get into in a moment regarding the updates with OzMedia, it does seem like more legal things are happening behind the scenes, so I don't know what is and isn't okay to display. So I won't be sharing the screenshots that I've seen in this video, but I will say vaguely that she accused Oz of being abusive and a lot of other really heinous things. Again, FPS Diesel does go into a lot more detail regarding this in his video if you want to look into it further. I will share one screenshot that was shown in FPS Diesel's video as well, just because it caught me off guard. It seems like she was talking about OzMedia with this post. On June 13th, 2023, Blair allegedly wrote, "Oh, there is so much more to this. I know I've mentioned snippets, but like, when you're wearing rose-colored glasses, red flags just look like flags, and that's a big flaw of mine. But oh, God forbid that I'm human." The reason I'm laughing is because even in direct conversation, she cannot be original. She got this from the show BoJack Horseman.
You know, it's funny. When you look at someone through rose-colored glasses, all the red flags just look like flags.
And listen, I have nothing against using movie quotes to help express how you feel. Trust me, I am somebody who really enjoys quoting movies and shows, and I'm a huge sucker for BoJack Horseman quotes and the show itself. That's how I was able to pick up on this immediately as I read it. It's just that in this specific circumstance, considering everything we know about iilluminaughtii, how she complains so much about plagiarism, yet seems to be one of the worst offenders when it comes to plagiarizing, I just find it ridiculously ironic that even in direct conversation, she is unoriginally quoting other sources word for word to what I personally believe could be embellishing her own sob story. I do want to add in though that even if this is the case, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I just thought it was funny. On top of all of this, FPS Diesel claims that iilluminaughtii had allegedly shared some of the court documents with one of her Discord mods. Now, I'm not a lawyer, but that just sounds like a absolutely horrible idea. Other important mentions from FPS Diesel's video is that she apparently wants to make a book about being canceled and is also allegedly planning to rebrand on another channel called Prism of the Past. I have no idea why she thought this would be a wise idea to announce this to anyone, especially on a Discord server. While yes, it is behind a paywall, all it would take is $30 to find out about this information, at least at the time that FPS Diesel had. I highly recommend watching his full video. It has way more information and details regarding a lot of stuff that she had mentioned. And to be completely honest, so much of what he had shared that iilluminaughtii allegedly said in this Discord server is simply unfathomable. FPS Diesel also made another video on iilluminaughtii a few months ago that I'll also link in the description below because that is very informative as well. It seems that iilluminaughtii might actually be trying to sue yet another former employee of hers. This creator, at least on Twitter, is known as Felix the KitKat. Remember earlier in my video how I mentioned that iilluminaughtii allegedly paid somebody $200 to try and dig up information, old video clips of the Click? This appears to be that person. My former employee, iilluminaughtii, is retaliating against me for things I've said and done after my employment ended. She had falsely claimed to have served me papers and is trying to force a default judgment. Any help would be greatly appreciated. And below is a document with a lot of information seemingly scratched out that appears to be the document that she had allegedly sent them. She claims to have had served me papers to an old address I haven't lived at in 9 years. It's hours away from where I currently live, and at the alleged time of service, I just finished work. There is no possible way I accepted these documents as the declaration of service claims. Just to prove without a shadow of a doubt I am who I say I am, here is the very screenshot from Click's video with minimal edits to hide a link and another person's name who hasn't and will not be involved in this. They also made a correction. I've just now realized that it says employee, not employer. Thank you to autocorrect. I'm not paying Elon money to fix it though. Just to clarify, she paid me and I worked for her. Unlike what was shown in the Click's video, we have a full page of text here instead of just a few lines. And the way that she starts this conversation off enrages me. And she knows exactly what she's doing, in my opinion, because of the the wording. A normal person, when getting ready to offer somebody some sort of work, would just say, hey, do you want some work? Her saying, hey, are you still short on rent, makes this more personal, like she knows that they are struggling with money or potentially were at some point. And then when she gets a response, does she say, I have some work for you? But let's actually go over everything really quick. Hey, are you still short on rent? God, that it pisses me off. Rent? No. Electric and phone? Yes. I'm at -$2 right now. No idea what I'm doing for lunch tomorrow, but I'm in the I'll figure it out phase of my life. Only then does she say, I have something for you, but it's a little tedious. I mean, my life is nothing but tedium, so I can do it. I need you to work with blank to help me find Click saying the R slur in Sad Milk's raw audio. This is the short piece of text that we saw in the Clicks video. I can do that. Let me get a shower and I'll be down. She claims he said it in a Sad Milk video, but can't remember which one, and she's over her head with shit. I'll pay you $200 to find it. Yeah, just hand me the files and I'll get started. $200 will help quite a bit. So she knows that he knows that $200 will help him out. There's that file and a file in the file. Most will have Discord calls, and I think it happened within the first 10 minutes. It happened within the first 10 minutes, but you can't look for it your fucking anyway, I'll check the whole recording to be sure. So I'm looking at all 4 folders. Just go into the published file. Someone wrote, holy shit, you were the censored name in the Clicks video? Bruh, best of luck to you. The reason I included this is just to confirm that yes, this is the same person, and they confirm it themselves. I had asked to be censored originally because I didn't want any of the spotlight at all, and I wanted to avoid these very issues I'm having now. I've never been in for the quote-unquote clout, and at the end of the day, I had to set things right for myself. Felix the KitKat also has a GoFundMe, which I will link in the description below, but they made an update that stated, thanks to all of your continued support, I was able to make the initial retainer between everyone's donations and my own money. I hope to get this resolved before the retainer runs dry, but law takes time and I may need additional funds. I will keep everyone as updated as possible. It seems like she's trying to silence anybody who speaks out against her. As I've previously mentioned, there is more to update when it comes to the iilluminaughtii versus OzMedia situation. And for once in my videos, I would like to report that something good has actually happened. This started with another tweet posted by Oz on November 29th. This Friday, and hopefully only this Friday, I'm going to be doing a stream to push my main channel to help secure and end the foreclosure proceedings on my home by obtaining what's known as a cure amount. The cure amount is separate from my legal fees. While I still need to do the math on what's left, and I'm still going to need official amounts from the Colorado trustee, I can get a rough estimation of what I will need. I'm sorry that it comes to this. I really wanted to aim to have this side of my woes handled on my own. Unfortunately though, more has been going on behind the scenes with the whole Illuminaughtii fiasco that I'm unable to speak on at the time being, which has greatly impacted my ability to focus on securing and ending the foreclosure. Hopefully this mess will be over soon so I can move on with my life. Oz's stream was originally going to go on for 24 hours, and he was not expecting to get a whole lot of donations, but he was going in with the mindset that anything could help be put towards what he is going through right now. But within the first hour of Oz streaming, he had received over $15,000 in donations. In fact, the total ran over $30,000. This is something that actually feels really good to see. As somebody who covers a lot of dark topics on this channel and talks about a lot of really nasty things that people can do, it can give you a really negative perception on the world and on the way things are. But seeing people come together to help somebody out in this situation really does give me hope. It's just nice seeing that a lot of people in this community are so willing to help. One other good thing is something that actually a lot of people were pointing out in the comments of my other Illuminaughtii videos is the fact that the Click has now surpassed Illuminaughtii in current subscribers. Considering everything that has happened, I find that to be really great news. And while this by no means seems like the end of the Illuminaughtii situation, I'm sure there is going to be a lot more when it comes to her due to so much constantly developing and coming out. I think that is where I want to end today's video because it just seems good to end things on a positive note instead. This doesn't fix every single thing that's happened. There are still several people who have been greatly affected by her. Thank you so much if you made it all the way to the end of this video. Thank you so much to everybody who has been supporting me over on Patreon. And thank you so much to anybody who has given me any super thanks. With that being said, I will see you in the next video.